What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have an update on the Mazda B2000. Now I'm going to try to do this all in one shot, so I'm sorry if I ramble on. I like to talk, but we are going to update you on what's going on with it. I know you guys have been commenting what happened with the truck. Have you given up on the Mazda and everything? I haven't given up on it. It's still here, still in the same spot. As you can tell, it hasn't really moved much from there. My wife probably wishes I get rid of it already because it's just taking up space here. But the reason why we haven't had a lot of update and it's been a little bit slow is because I decided to go ahead and do an engine swap on it. So I'm going to talk to you about what I decided to do with the engine, which engine I chose to go with, and that is kind of the main reason why it's been slow, because I have to save money. I have to look for a deal that I can find at least locally for big parts like that, where I can go see it and everything. So that takes a lot of time and it's very slow. I know popular belief is that YouTubers have a lot of money for this, but quite honestly, I don't. I have to save my money just like you, and I have to just find a deal that I can find. But here, if we are looking at the truck here, not a lot has changed. I know you guys seen it without the front and everything. We are gonna swap out my red valve cover into it for down the road when we get the engine out, and I'm gonna put this one on the wall. I like my Kia Lona valve cover, and I wanna keep it as a bit of a memento, but we are gonna be swapping the engine out. I still don't know what's wrong with it. I haven't bothered to look at it because I decided to go this route. So I haven't bothered seeing what the hell is wrong with it. Once we get it out of the car, we might take a look at it. If it's an easy fix or something, then potentially I could fix it in the meantime while I still keep other parts and move on with the other process. But we'll get to that once we get to that. But now I'm going to show you the engine I decided to go with. And the engine I finally picked one up here is a Honda K24 A2 engine. Now, this is the K24 engine that everyone bases their swaps on. So it took me a while to find this specific one, especially locally for a good deal, something that looked good, that wasn't too expensive. This cost me about $700. I think that's a pretty good deal, especially because everything around here was going for a lot more, and a lot of times it was going for a lot more with a lot less. And what I mean by that is that this came with all the accessories attached to it. So I have power steering pump, AC compressor, throttle body, everything else is attached to it, fuel lines, everything for $700. I think it's a good deal. I'm sure Honda guys or somebody might be able to find this one for cheaper. And also, if I was going to the junkyard consistently, trying to find one there, potentially I could have picked it up for cheaper, but that was not the case. So I'm okay with this. We pay $700, it's okay. We're gonna get into it later, fix it up, do some timing chain and all that stuff into it, just to make sure it's running good before we swap it into the truck. But other than that, again, satisfied with the price, not too bad, not too crazy, definitely not super cheap, but I think it was a decent deal. We have a 2.0 engine here. I've been trying to sell it for a while and nobody wants to get it, so we're just gonna have to tear it apart and throw away what we don't need. Kind of sucks throwing away parts. I hate throwing parts that somebody could use down the road, but unfortunately I can't keep them indefinitely in here. So that's how it is here. Now, another thing I want to talk about, if you are gonna do this swap, and honestly, this is something you probably need to consider first and foremost before you even decide to do a swap, is if you have a carbureted truck like I do, so a B2000 with a carb, a B2200 with a carb, I think even the 2600 that have a carburetor in there, don't quote me on that. The first thing you should look for or decide is what are you gonna do about fuel. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because the fuel assembly, the fuel pump assembly, well, not fuel pump, the fuel tank assembly on the carbureted trucks is just a very simple, two tubes comes out and sends the fuel because the fuel pump is on the side of the engine, right? So if you are gonna do something like a K24 swap, you need to decide if you're gonna go with a fuel cell or if you're gonna go with something keeping it stuck like I am. I wanted to keep this as stock as possible. I don't wanna cut my bed. I don't wanna put a fuel cell or anything in here. I wanna keep the factory spot for the fuel, the factory tank if I can help it, and keep all of that as is right now. And to make that happen, you're gonna need an EFI fuel pump assembly, which is what we have here. Took me a while to find it, and honestly, it was way more expensive than I was hoping and expecting to pay. But this is what you'll need if you are gonna go the route that I'm going right now. Let me just put it down here so I can focus a little bit better on that. This is the fuel pump. This is everything that attaches to the tank and everything. If you don't have an EFI truck, you're gonna need this. I heard some people say the automatics might have this in the tank. You guys might need to confirm that if that's the case, but this after shipping and taxes and everything, cost me about $375, I think. I'll write it down here so you guys can have the exact price I paid, but $370 or so is what it cost for me to get this piece by itself. It was crazy. I called several junkyards here locally. I called several junkyards across the US, emailed them, messaged them. Nobody had this piece in stock. I had to get this one off eBay, and that's why I ended up paying this kind of crazy price. But honestly, because the route that I want to go with this truck, I had to have this part. So unfortunately, that ate into a little bit more of the budget than I wanted to. So just be aware of that. If you are going to do a swap on yours, make sure you either have one of these ones already, or try to find this piece first, or if you decide you're going to go with a fuel cell, then that's fine. You probably can spend way less money than I did for this piece on a whole fuel cell and be good. All right, guys, so we had to do one cut just because we had my friend here arrive, so I apologize for that. But like I was saying, if you go with a fuel cell, you probably can spend way less than that. If you want to go with a factory looking setup like I am, then you might have to look for this piece first. I would say look for this piece first. Try to make sure you get your hands on one of those. And then once you do, then look at engines and anything else, because trust me, finding a K24 or an LS swap or anything like that is going to be way easier than finding this piece, just because they don't make them, there's not as many, and they're expensive. So just pro tip for you guys. Another thing I'm going to add into totals for right now just will be tools instead of anything extra that I bought for now. You might not need them, you might need them, that'll be up to you, but I think it'll be just good to kind of have an idea of how much I spend on any special tools or extra things besides the actual swap cost, because that will give you a better idea, especially if you don't have a lot of this stuff. One thing we got for the truck here was the dollies down here. We got all four of them from Harbor Freight Tools, just so we can move the truck in and out of the way. Obviously, we can't drive it out into the driveway or anything like that, so this is going to let us move it to the sides and work on it a little bit easier. So that was about $148, I think. Unfortunately, I didn't have any discounts, so I would say definitely wait till they have one of their discount weekends or something like that, and or one of those one coupon thingies, and use that. You can get those probably a little bit cheaper than I did. But outside of that, that's really all the updates right now. I'm still on the hunt for a Miata transmission. I'm looking for the bell housing because we're gonna adapt that into the K24 with an adapter and everything, just to keep everything transmission-wise kind of factory, keep the whole rear end kind of factory and everything. I don't want to change them. I don't want to mess with the drive shaft or anything like that. So we are going to be looking for that. And once I find one, I'll hopefully get it for a good price. I'll let you guys know, and then we can put that on there. There's a couple here local. They're going for a little bit more than I want to pay, mainly because I don't need the actual transmission part of it. I don't care if it's working or not. As long as the bell housing is in good shape, then I can use it. But like I said, if you guys want to support the channel in any way, go ahead and hit up flakegarage.com. We have stickers. We're going to have some parts and stuff in there posted. If you guys want to buy me a coffee or something, you can do it there too. That'll help with the progress here. I'll really appreciate it, like always. You don't have to, but again, it'd just be really nice and appreciated. But that's really all I have for you guys today. Hopefully this answers a little bit of your questions of why the truck has been missing a little bit. And hopefully we'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.